Brandon Crosslin joins us once again. Good to see you, Brandon. I'll start with you here. Do you have a problem with how race control handled the finish? And if so, should NASCAR have thrown the yellow right away or held it back and just let them race to the end?
Yeah, first of all, I want to apologize for the cough there. I did not realize for some reason that my mic would still be going. Anyway, yeah, I do have a big problem with that. They were, I think they were already past the tri-oval there at the front straight, or at, the front of the racetrack, and then they're going to make it to the line, and that should have been it. We should have had a race to the line there. There's no reason to pull out the caution from race control. Now, did they think that afterwards? Possibly, but from what we saw there, it was very disappointing that it occurred how it did. Matt DiBenedetto, in my book, as much as I respect him, as much as I respect that Rackley team, they're just basically outside of Murfreesboro, very close to where I'm at here. It was just I would rather want fairness here, and I really don't think they won this race. I think Bret Holmes took the checkered flag. He crossed the line first, but they had to go back and look at the caution, and it made this confusion. And also, I saved a screenshot of the broadcast of the two trucks waiting there to figure out who was going to burn out, because they don't know. They didn't know yet. And so just a big old handful of confusion on to mess up a great Saturday truck race, despite the Jordan Anderson wreck there that we're all hoping him for best wishes for him. But Matt DiBenedetto was not the winner, even though he was.
I think, what happened with the status quo is not the way we should be running things here. Either you have to throw the caution immediately as soon as the first truck, I forget who it was, but somebody I think was spinning right back on into oncoming traffic. And, the caution can be thrown there. I can see justifying that decision if you expect a lot of trucks to get torn up. Or you could say we're just a few hundred yards from the start-finish line. They're all going to crash anyway. At this point, it's inevitable. Nobody's in the catch fence or anything like that. There's no fireball like we had at Daytona a couple of years ago. At this point, let's just let them run these extra few hundred yards, just cross the start-finish line at the end there, and let them race. And I think if they had done that, we would have gotten a thrilling finish with Bret Holmes, a feel-good home track victory for him. That would have been a nice feel-good story that we could all be talking about, as is Matt DiBenedetto. He's been a journeyman driver. It's a long time coming for him, and certainly, like you, Brandon, I respect the journey that he's been on, as well as the Rackley team, and it's a great day for them. And it's nice to see a first-time winner, of course, and one of the smaller teams take the fight to the top teams and win a Truck Series race. But at the same time, I don't know if the right truck won this race. I think the winner 999 times out of 1,000 should be the car or truck that crosses the finish line first, and that wasn't the case. What happened on Saturday at Talladega. And it's not the first time either. I'm thinking of, I think Brennan Poole had a win taken away from him because they went back and looked at the caution light, and Elliott Sadler ended up winning that Xfinity race. So it's been an issue for several years now. I'd like to see NASCAR be a little bit more consistent on how we run these races to the end.
Yeah, I really just want to know what was going on inside the race control's head. Like, really, what made that decision seem right at the time? And I also want to know, do they feel the same way about it now that it's been done? Or were they trying to keep it as it was to save face so they don't look like they made a mistake?
Well, listen, I'm the last guy that's going to put on a tinfoil hat or say like NASCAR, has it favored for certain drivers over others, or they have it out for certain drivers. But if you think about it, if we're going back to the moment of caution and freezing the field, in theory, you could make the argument race control could hand pick the winner of the race depending on who's out in front at the time that they throw the caution.
I think that's what we're all thinking.
Yeah, it's not and what I went back to is like, Mark Martin, let's just give you your 2007 Daytona 500, right? I mean, I'm sure Mark Martin fans are looking at this and thinking, where was this? Where was throwing the caution for the big accident on the last lap in the 2007 500? I mean, we'd be talking about Mark Martin as the Daytona 500 champion after all those years. And it goes back to the phrase consistently inconsistent. I think that's been a problem with NASCAR, not just on these issues of green, white, checkered or overtime finishes and wrecks on the final lap at super speedways. But, of course, when Myatt Snider is thrown into the catch fence at Daytona, in the Xfinity Series earlier this year when we had the big fireball of the Daytona 500 when Michael McDowell won. Like, of course, in those instances, you have to throw a caution for safety reasons. You can't have drivers continuing to plow through that. When the wreck gets to that point, obviously, there's no reason to allow the drivers to be racing at full speed there. That is absolutely justifiable. But if it's just trucks spinning or a couple of trucks going into the wall and you throw a caution for that when they're all going to spin and wreck anyway, as if you're somehow going to prevent something there, and you rob us of an extra 100 yards or 200 yards, whatever it is, to get to the finish line, I have a problem with that. And I think a lot of fans do, judging from the reaction on social media, because there really was a moment where, if you had thrown it here, I think one of the Thor Sport trucks was ahead and they were saying maybe they could have won the race. Or Eckes and Rhodes were up there as well. So I just think that there's a consistency issue when we have finishes like this that really needs to be addressed, because it's not the first time, and unfortunately I don't think it'll be the last. Hey everyone, I'm Ben Schneider. Thank you so much for watching. Before you go, make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel for more Grid Network highlights and analysis, and for full episodes of Grid Live Encore and other Grid programming, subscribe directly to Grid Network.